Hello.
Good evening, race fans. Got green at Bristol. I'm seeing a black screen on my feed, Nick. Are the SDK problems continuing?
No, we're live.
Eventually. We're live? Okay. I'll broadcast off my iRacing feed then. Well, that was a very unprofessional first lap. And now we're under yellow here at Bristol for the second round of the round of 14. You see in the lead there, Lake Norman's Justin Wadsworth's got his teammate Chris Wright just behind him. We've had a crash further back in the pack. We'll see if we can spot just who was involved. But yeah, Bristol, Carnagefield track, as we know, half-mile, last great Coliseum, concrete banked short track. It's a combination that can often spell carnage. I think one truck that's been involved in that first lap crash is the 38 of Jeff Green. Now, of course, Jeff Green locked himself in to the Final Four last week at Michigan in the first race of this round of 14. As we consult the photography replay, we'll see just who else was involved in that crash. We see an overhead view here of Jeff Green. It's the 12 of Leighton Norgard getting loose just in front of the 2000 Bro Series champion, that collects Class Cup Series champion Gerald Campbell. Cody McCorkle involved as well. Tom Bourne, Jeff Ryan taking evasive action. Neil Rutt not so lucky. So, Mathieu Weeks, race control. I'm going to bring you in shortly here. It's been something of a chaotic start to proceedings here at Bristol. Was potentially something that we'd come to expect. You know, only lap 4 of what is 150 laps here tonight. Is this going to be something that we're going to expect to see more of in these next sort of 145 laps or so?
I think so. Watching the practice, it looked like these guys were struggling really with on the exit of the corners getting really loose. So I could see a lot of trucks wrecking like that tonight.
It definitely looks to be that way, but working our first caution period, about to come to an end now as we are 1 to green. It's Lake Norman 1, 2, 3, led by 2024 B Cup Series champion Justin Wadsworth. He's got 2023 ARCA Series champion Chris Wright on his outside, looking for his first Truck Series title after 2 previous Championship 4 appearances, looking to get the 3rd time lucky this season. Caleb Pacuma, a rookie to the Truck Series after a very successful couple ARCA campaigns, including a winner Watkins Glen last season. He will be looking to make the Final Four. It's a Lake Norman 1, 2, 3. We're back in the Geico restart zone. Justin Wadsworth steps on the loud pedal and immediately gets a 1/3 of a second to the good from his 2 teammates behind him. We'll see if we can go green for a few laps here, see about the comers and the goers. Chris Wright emerges just in front of his teammate Caleb Pacuma. He'll cut down to the inside. Gavin Higgins now emerging on the high side, nearly contact between 2nd and 3rd there. Gavin Higgins, not someone to be trifled with here at Bristol, finished 2nd in the ARCA race here as well in 2025A after a valiant fight up at the front. And here he is again, looking to go one better still, though. Has Pacuma on his inside, and behind him another Lake Norman Motorsports car is in 5th place. That's Frank Foti, father of course of 7-time elite champion Tyler Foti. He's got JP Phillips from Unacceptable Racing on his inside. We're 2 by 2 from 3rd on back, but Mathieu Weeks in just a couple laps here. Justin Wadsworth is sailing away. Still, we see the different lanes being worked here. Everyone giving each other ample room to operate. Gavin Higgins right up by the safer barrier on the outside, looking to clear. Caleb Pacuma has the run off the corner. Not quite clear this time. Now he is. Gets to the inside. Of course, slightly better for tyre saving, as now we have a bit of an intra-team fight here, with Pacuma coming down to 4th. Potentially some pressure behind him from the 41. Still looks to be very much the Justin Wadsworth show as he pulls ahead 3/4 of a second clear of his teammate Chris Wright, who himself is 3/10 clear of the young Gavin Higgins. But we have a 6-car train breaking away further behind him. Joe Francis, you see just at the top of your picture, and it's a half a second gap back to Dylan Havere. Andrew Hardcastle doing a brilliant job up in P9, and Jeff Ryan rounding out the top 10. And just as we mentioned that, we have our second yellow of the night here, and that will neutralise proceedings here. Justin Wadsworth's advantage absolutely out the window. And we're going to check the Robalis photography replay. We've got our cameras here focused on the 71 of Dave Carpenter from Do Good. Does the incident spark ahead of him? Between Tom Ball and Letty Norgard, there's a further incident up ahead. That's Dusty Dewar up by the high side. And I think that Seth Rawls and Dave Carpenter's going to scoot into the barrels. And Michael Hossack, already been upside down in this playoff so far, now finds himself collected in an incident not of his own making. We'll look again overhead here. Dusty Dewar to the inside of, I believe, that's Andrew Hardcastle in the Expedition 33 car. Just tags Jeff Ryan as he goes around, an innocent Seth Rawls is collected. Jaden Racimus just tags the 32, sends him for a little pirouette. You see Carpenter and Hossack having an incident behind them. Dewar's teammate Michael Goodman just about avoids, but grip definitely at a premium in this race as we're just 10% of the way through, and already you're seeing guys lose it on the entry of the corner. First to Leighton Norgard, now Dusty Dewar. And it would seem that conditions are proving a little too tough for some of these guys out here, and it's going to be something that's going to be, I think, very difficult for these drivers to acclimate to, and I think this will become something of a race of attrition, as already you see 18th on back there on the scoring tower. Leighton Norgard is down in the pits. So already a bit of a split strategy. These guys will have a few laps on their tyres, but of course this caution period will allow them to cool them back down and get them to a slightly better level of performance behind the safety car here, as the 6 of Justin Wadsworth leads the race here, as he has done from pole position. Chris Wright still in second. Gavin Higgins breaks up the Lake Norman monotony in P3 with Pekuma and Foti rounding out the rest of the top 5. JP Phillips in P6. Joe Francis, Dylan Javier, Andrew Hardcastle, and now Jaden Racimus in the top 10. Regular season champion Tom Bourne finds himself just outside the top 10 there in P11. The lights are now off on the iRacing.com pace car, which means the safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap, and it's Justin Wadsworth who will once again have control. It's Justin Wadsworth that once again picks the inside line for this restart. We enter the restart zone now, and Wadsworth steps on it. It's a good start for the Chicago native. To the inside now goes Gavin Higgins with a brilliant restart. He's right up the back of Justin Wadsworth here. We know how good he is on the restarts here at Bristol as Gavin Higgins, and he's flown past Chris Wright, gets to position without having to really use his tyres, and is that all over the back of the reigning Cup Series champion Justin Wadsworth. Justin, of course, looking to add a third title to his trophy cabinet here in Elite. Gavin Higgins looking for his first. Both of these drivers just as hungry as each other here, and less than 0.2 of a second separate them as they barrel through turns 1 and 2 here again at Bristol. And already 20 laps knocked off, with lap times dipping below 15 seconds here. Mathieu Weeks, they tick off quickly here, so I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of chaos as time begins to wind down rather quickly for these drivers, as Gavin Higgins still putting on all the pressure on Justin Wadsworth. Obviously, Matthew, you've had a lot of experience here in the past in all of Elite Series. Just what is it like here to, once you get a few laps ticked off under yellow, as we have a third caution, but just quickly, obviously, you rattle off a few laps under green, you start to feel what the car wants to do. What's the challenges that come with racing at a unique track like Bristol?
It's all about staying in rhythm here, especially since you're going around here in 14, 15 seconds. So it's all about getting in the rhythm, being smooth, and one little mistake with even someone in front of you, messing up and you got to lift, or someone just tapping you from behind can get you all out of rhythm, and it could take you a good 10 laps or so just to get back into that.
And I think that might be something that we see on the replay here, as it's another crash towards the back of the pack. I see Rob Mooney potentially involved in the incident here on the Robalis photography replay. Neil Rutt as well, just on his outside here in the number 11. Both of these guys representing South Shore Racing, of course. as Ruck gets a move done on Rob Mooney, just drops it on that high banking with his line there, kind of coming up the track, potentially unsettled his truck, and a kiss to the inside wall.
I think
That'll
we have
do
some
him a bit
issues
of
under
front
yellow
side
here.
damage. Issues under yellow, says our producer Nick Massey in my ear. We'll look at Josh Adams here in the Juicy Spider Toyota here in truck number 81. We've seen issues under yellow before in the Cup Series. Charlotte comes to mind as everyone stacks up behind the safety car. Everyone just getting into their assigned positions. All looks well at the moment. I do wonder if any mishaps will befall our gladiators in this particular replay, but I think
Maybe it was lying to me.
everyone is okay. So still largely the same order here, with Justin Wadsworth leading the way. We're exactly 1/6 of the way through this race, with Justin Wadsworth head of the pack here. Gavin Higgins in second place, Chris Wright, Caleb Pacuma, and JP Phillips the top 5. Frank Foti, Joe Francis, Andrew Hardcastle up to P8, Tom Bourne, Dylan Javier in P10. We are now 1 to green. Wadsworth again elects to take the inside. Gavin Higgins along the outside here with 2 Lake Norman trucks behind him. I do wonder if we will see potentially some communication and some cooperation between these two drivers. Of course, they are together in the Lake Norman Motorsports Discord channel, so they will have voice communication with one another at all times. So we'll see potentially a coordinated restart, as we've seen many teams do. I know I've done it, and it's a very effective strategy, especially at a short track like this, where track position can be critical. We'll see how good Gavin Higgins can get of a start here. Not much cooperation between Wadsworth and Wright there, as Higgins is able to slice in between the 2 Lake Norman trucks here, as we are back green here under green here at Bristol. That's English, as the Lake Norman trucks are all fighting each other here for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and just behind them there is a caution flag already. Cautions breed cautions here at Bristol, as they do at any oval track, but especially somewhere like here. And we will look to see, I think it was again further towards the back of the mid pack here. So we'll see just who was involved, what caused that yellow. I think it's going to be a similar thing of these conditions being somewhat difficult to acclimate to. The front lot seem to be doing a very good job at controlling their vehicles. As you see, Dustin Dewar just taking his Lucky Dog free pass. Of course, for those unfamiliar with the Lucky Dog rule, if you are the first car 1 lap down or more, if you're the first car not on the lead lap at the time of a yellow flag, you can elect not to pit, with the trade-off of being allowed to unlap yourself, and you'll be put at the back of the pack, but of course 1 lap up from where you were before. Of course, Dusty Dewar was involved in an incident not too long ago, and he'll be looking to reclaim those laps lost from being in the incident and from having to repair his vehicle. So presumably he will find himself on the lead lap at the end of this caution. Still talking about the lead, of course, the top 10 remains largely unchanged. Andrew Hardcastle, I see, is changed his position. He's gone up 1. He's now 7th. He's slowly crept his way up the field. Looks to have been particularly good on the restarts here, as we've had not many green laps to make your moves, but what he has had in terms of opportunities, he's taken well. He's had good performances here in the past, of course. Didn't quite make the playoffs. Definitely looking to potentially place spoiler, as of course winning you're in, but that only applies to playoff drivers. So we could potentially see if a non-playoff driver does get the checkered flag in any of the next 3 remaining playoff races, then there will be positions decided on points, or of course if one playoff driver wins multiple races. But we are now 1 to green here, just working the back straight here at the last Great Coliseum, 1/5 of the way through this race. Hopefully not 1/5 of the way through the cautions. I'm already struggling commentating 4 cautions. I think 20 might just be a little too much. We'll see if truck number 20 has anything to say about Justin Wadsworth's stranglehold on the lead here at Bristol as he works into the Geico restart zone now, has control of the restart, gets a good launch. Gavin Higgins with good enough reaction time to just about slip to the inside in front of the 59 of Caleb Pukuma, who now has Briss right for company upstairs there with Foti and Phillips going at it there for P5. We'll see if Gavin Higgins has anything for Justin Wadsworth, but I think Mathieu Weeks, Justin Wadsworth might just about have the measure of the field here, particularly on the short run pace here.
Yeah, and you know, he's a Cup champion, he's good, and how this truck is handled tonight here, I feel like he could be the one to beat. He's very good at driving something that's kind of a little bit difficult. And when we bring the trucks here to Bristol, they are hard to drive.
They're definitely not easy to drive. That'll be a lesson taught to him, of course, by everyone at Lake Norman, Frank Foti, Ethan Stanley, the 2 spearheads of that organisation. But just as we say that, a move to the inside from Gavin Higgins, and it's Wadsworth that's going to have to work upstairs here. But he manages to fend off truck number 20 for the time being. And we have another yellow flag, another few laps for Wadsworth to take off behind the safety car here as we work closely towards the end of the first stage, which of course come in the next few laps or so, which will distribute crucial points to the top 10. And we will see, I believe Seth Rawls might have been involved in caution number 5 here. We saw him get involved in a previous incident. You see damage still on that truck, and I think that's having an adverse effect on his handling. But an inconsequential self spin really for the 25. Just drops it mid corner, lazily comes down to the bottom of the track, doesn't collect anyone, holds the brakes nice and safely, and rejoins the track with no real issues. But of course, at a track like Bristol, where lap times are again, we're dipping below 15 seconds and that sort of thing, the caution is very easy to bring out for a self spin as it is at any short track like this. So you would imagine you would see a tally assessed to the 25, so we'll see about that. But this is going to be good for Justin. He's been very good on the short run, as we've seen on the restarts. Of course, he's managed to get himself sort of a 2/10 buffer every time. But I've been particularly impressed as well with Gavin Higgins. We saw it in the development series race here at Bristol this season. Of course, he was fighting me. And every restart, I would have control in the restart zone being the leader, but any advantage I'd get, he'd instantly wipe out. He has a lot of confidence in his car, just sticking to the track a lot better, and I think he's using that to his advantage, because while Wadsworth does have control and he can get himself 2/10, Higgins just claws it all right back. You saw him go for a move to the inside of Wadsworth. It's one of his trademarks, and I'm sure before long Matthew will start to see, sort of in maybe 100 laps time, start to see the slide jobs getting pulled out as these guys scratch and claw for position, especially considering, of course, that this is a playoff race to make the Final Four.
Yeah, and knowing that some playoff guys are having some struggles tonight. You know, Jeff Green, he's already won and he's locked in, but he's kind of got wrecked out earlier. And you want to go out and win this race. You don't want to worry about the next 2 races. And then going back to where you're talking about the damaged cars, what I've learned in these trucks, even just like 10 seconds of damage anywhere changes the handling of these trucks so much.
And we'll see how these guys contend with those issues as Fred, the pace car driver, does pull in. Justin Wadsworth steps on the gas. It's a good restart actually from Caleb Pukuma. And Gavin Higgins will not be clear into turn 1. It's a fight for second, and that'll be music to the ears of Justin Wadsworth. But Higgins, with a brilliant amount of grip on the outside, can't quite clear Pukuma to make a move to the inside of Justin Wadsworth. Both the 6 and the 20 work upstairs here. The 59 trying to get a move done to the inside. Can't quite get to the inside of Gavin Higgins. Higgins clears and is now to the inside of Justin Wadsworth. A brilliant move by Gavin Higgins. Knows how to work the lanes here at Bristol to try and get the moves that he needs to get done executed. Still to the inside of Justin Wadsworth, but can't quite get the move done. As we see the top 8 right under a blanket here, less than a second from Justin Wadsworth in the lead to Jaden Racimus down in 8th, less than a second between them all. But it's Wadsworth that's beginning to creep away here. Gavin Higgins Sends it in deep into turn 1, trying to get to the bumper of Justin Wadsworth. I wouldn't think that we'd start the bumper running this early. Tom Bourne going for a couple bonsai moves on the Lake Norman trucks, finds himself in P4. And we're now finding ourselves in caution number 6. And again, it seems to be towards the back of the pack. I didn't see any changes in the scoring tower in the top 10. I see Sam Boutwell getting a bit loose off the corner. Contact between potentially Ryan McCorkle, no. Heading into turn 1, and I see that truck beginning to step out of Sam Boutwell. Cody McCorkle collected. Josh Adams hits the wall in avoidance. Austin Abbott scrapes the wall. Leighton Norgard manages to get past. Sam Boutwell with a lazy self-spin. Damage to the back bumper. And that is caution number 6 of the evening. So every single incident that we've seen tonight, Matthew, has been pretty much the same thing. The truck gets loose under these guys, either entering the corner or as they go up and down the banking in the middle of the corner, the truck gets unsettled, and these guys are finding it particularly difficult to catch it.
Yeah, and it's just the product, I think, of driving in entry too hard. I've noticed that some tracks with this truck, and even the Cup cars like that, if you drive the entry way too hard, you just get so loose and they spin it out.
Yeah, I think we might see a lot of that tonight, but I think generally, we'll see a bit less and less of it as the night goes on. We've had an hour of practice, of course, we've had qualifying, enough time for these guys to acclimate to the conditions, and we've got 150 laps of racing. So I would like to think that, you know, these are obviously some very, very talented drivers, especially up at the front here. So I think the incidents will start to peter out and we'll get some green flag running going. I wouldn't think we'll have green flag pit stops. The truck tanks, I think, can do about 120 odd laps, if I'm not mistaken. And when we trundle around at low speeds, I'm sure some of these guys kicking it in 4th gear, use a bit of clutch, save some fuel. I think with the rate of cautions we're having, I don't think, maybe not even pit stops will be necessary at all. But of course, we'll have to wait and see. Justin Wadsworth, for the first time tonight, elects to take the high side. So, Matthew, I have a question to ask you. Of course, Justin's taken the inside every restart up until now. We're working sort of lap 47 here, about a third of the way through. We haven't had many laps under green, though, on these tyres. So what makes Justin change his mind as we come to the restart here?
The stage. You know you can defend so much better on the outside than you can on the inside, so he's looking at trying to win these, win the stage, get as many points as he can.
Stage is 50, right, as we come to the green?
Yep, stage 50.
Okay, well, there's only 3 laps to go in the stage then, and of course, stage points are distributed to the top 10. First place gets 10, 10th place gets 1, and everyone in between. And Gavin Higgins now to the inside of Justin Wadsworth. We'll see if we get slide jobs for stage points, and of course, one crucial playoff point as well for anyone who can win the stage. Neck and neck over the line between Wadsworth and Higgins. Higgins might be challenging for the lead here. We know how good he is on the inside here at Bristol as Tom Bourne tags the wall, sends it in deep to turn 3. Does Gavin Higgins Wadsworth trying to hang on the outside. Higgins just about leads that lap, I think. It's a dead heat over the line. We're fighting for the stage victory here at Bristol. There'll be no yellow for the stage. We will keep racing. We're going to door bang for the stage. We're door robbing. We're leaning on each other. Who had the lead at the yellow? And I think it was Gavin Higgins, and that's going to change everything. That is huge for truck number 20. No, Wadsworth had it. So I think Wadsworth will be declared the stage winner. That's huge for the 10 stage points and a crucial 1 playoff point for the reigning Cup Series champion. Gavin Higgins tried with all his might, but was just a few millimeters short of a stage win there. But that just shows you this will not be a one-man show.
And I think Wadsworth might be in trouble because coming to the end of that stage when the wreck happened, he checked up a lot, and the 61 got into the back of the 6, and he has some damage on the right rear of that truck.
I do see a dent in the back of the number 6 Waste Management Chevrolet. I do wonder if one of these guys are going to land themselves in some hot water, but Wadsworth and everyone behind elects to pit. But of course you see Jaden Racimus has stayed out. Leighton Norgard has stayed out. That's Tommy Ryan. I see Michael Goodman, Michael Hossack, and Sam Boutwell. So that is 6 trucks that have elected to stay out. We haven't had many laps under green, but I think we've had a few to sort of wear these tyres down a little bit. Mathieu Weeks, what do you think of the call to stay out here?
I think it's good. I noticed some guys pitted under the last caution, so if they are the ones that stayed out, I think it's going to benefit them.
We'll have to wait and see here. There's a big split strategy here. I see Rob Mooney, Austin and Abnett, Kyle Hanshaw as well. So the top 9 have stayed out. So Justin Wadsworth wins the race off pit road, despite that right rear damage. So of course, hopefully it won't impact his performance too much. He will emerge in P10 on the track here. And we now work 1 to green. Jaden Racimus elects to take the outside. And of course, Leighton Norgard will be on his inside. I know Leighton. Obviously, I'm teammates with him. I raced with him in a bunch of leagues before, and he's very, very, very good at Bristol. Twice actually, in league racing, he's lapped me under green at Bristol, and it's a bit embarrassing. So I know how good he is here. And I'm sure he can show his stuff again tonight. The leading playoff driver wants to dispatch of Racimus, I'm sure, as quickly as he can to try and get himself into his 2nd championship race appearance in the JUICYSPYDER Truck Series. The first, of course, coming in 2023A. 2 years later, he's hoping to replicate it, but he's got Jaden Racimus standing between him and that spot in the final 4. And Jaden Racimus with a lightning restart on that high side. Leighton Norgard, though, manages to fend off Tommy Ryan and Michael Goodman behind him. As we now find ourselves single file. Sam Boutwell tags the wall there from P6. Keeping on the likes of Justin Wadsworth to start flying through the field here. He's already up fighting Austin and Abnett for P7 here. As we work lap number 56. Norgard, I think, starting to close the gap here on Jaden Racimus again. Austin and Abnett into the wall here. We have a fight between Michael Goodman and Michael Hossack for position number 4. A nearly contact between Goody and the Canadian, with the 24 just scooching out in front here. Tommy Ryan as well. Sam Boutwell goes around for the 2nd time tonight. He's facing the wrong direction. He's hard into the inside wall, and that's caution number 8 of the evening. And it's the 2nd one involving the 47 IC Fog machine of Sam Boutwell. And I think it's the same old story again for these drivers. Struggling with the conditions. Grip really not in droves here for sure. As you see, driving it in deep into the corner here. Just travels up the banking. You're going to watch the front tyres here as the back end begins to step out. You see the front tyres are straight. Front tyres still straight, but he travels down the banking at a bit too high rate of knots, and he immediately cranks that wheel right. But there is nothing he can do. And race control assesses a 2nd tally to the 47 of Sam Boutwell. And that means that unfortunately his night is over, parked for the remainder of the event. And as we run down your top 10 here, Jaden Racimus leads for the first time tonight. It will be him controlling the restart yet again. Aber Motorsports is Leighton Norgard. He runs in 2nd, looking for a 2nd appearance in the championship race. Michael Hossack with 2 final 4 appearances in the development series, looking for his 1st in the truck series. Justin Wadsworth, 2024 B Cup Series champion, yet to take a truck title, looking for his 3rd championship in Elite. His teammate behind him, Austin and Abnett, in truck number 60, looking for his 1st win. Can he do it from 5th? Tom Bourne, regular season champion, runs in 6th, looking for his 1st Final 4 appearance. Chris Wright, 2 Final 4 appearances in this very series before, trying to make a hat trick back from P7. Gavin Higgins, also a Final 4 appearance in the development series. We'll see if he can get another one in his repertoire tonight. Dylan Havere and Jeff Ryan, 9th and 10th, both looking for their 1st victories in Elite, and they currently round out the top 10. We're going to be coming to the 1 to green this time, which means the safety car will be pulling off in just a few moments when we can get this race back underway with just under a century of laps to go here. Once again, Jaden Racimus elects to take the high side. Leighton Norgard will be on the inside in 2nd. We will see if this plays potentially to the advantage of Justin Wadsworth. who was able to potentially go a little bit further than Michael Harsack, as of course the Leighton Norgard on the inside has no choice but to react to when Jaden Racines goes, and that could slow that inside line down just a little bit. Justin Wadsworth, of course, won't get checked up by Jaden, as Jaden decides when we go. Justin Wadsworth on that fresh rubber, looking to make quick progress through the field, and already he's up from 4th to 2nd place. Clears a Leighton Norgard into turn 1 just about. Leighton Norgard will get back to the inside, but Wadsworth will clear in just a couple corners here with the run on the outside and that superior rubber. Jaden Racines half a second in front. Keep a mental note of that, because Wadsworth and Bourne will be coming up fast, as Wadsworth now under pressure from Tom Bourne, the 61, to the inside of the 6. This is your battle for P2, soon to be P1, I'm sure. Jaden Racines on those older tyres will put up a fight, but it might be a futile effort, as here comes Gavin Higgins as well. A three-way fight for the net lead here, as Jaden Racines still leads on older tyres, still maintaining the gap. So you fight for 2nd place. Wadsworth in the middle, and Gavin Higgins to the right of your picture, and Tom Bourne downstairs as the 20 working right by the wall here, fighting the 61. Justin Wadsworth trying to work the lanes here like it's a plate track here, running the middle, keeping them both at bay. Brilliant driving from the Cup Series champion to hold off 2 trucks simultaneously. But Jaden Racines is beginning to get reeled in here, as those older tyres I'm sure are beginning to fade away from him. They're not significantly older in terms of wear, as we've had a lot of cautions up to this point, but soon enough that deficit will grow too large for Racines to begin to hold off these drivers. Higgins now upstairs. He's managed to clear Tom Bourne, looking to clear Justin Wadsworth. He has managed to get to the outside, which is a very, very potent overtaking lane, and he's going to get clear of Justin Wadsworth off the corner here. Flying into P2 is Gavin Higgins. We saw how good he was in that first stage, couldn't quite get the stage win over Justin Wadsworth, but he has looked to be just as quick as the 6 throughout this entire race. Gavin Higgins out to the inside of Jaden Racines, and he does take the lead here across the line as we start lap number 69. That was a fairly nice move there from Gavin Higgins to put a car between himself, Tom Bourne, and Justin Wadsworth. And just as we lap Rob Mooney, we're 3 abreast. Rob Mooney's in the wall. Jaden Racines there with contact with the 84, but he just about makes it stick. We remain green here, and now that we've knocked off about a dozen laps, Matthew, could this be an opportunity for Higgins to start to break away?
Yeah, and I think he's been, this season alone, I think he's been the best guy on the short tracks. No matter what track it was, if it was short, the short tracks, he was like the fastest truck every time pretty much. And tonight it seems like no different, and this is good. He was able to get the clean air faster than everybody on the fresh tires, and now he can just focus on trying to pull away and get away from those guys.
Gavin Higgins, of course, a very, very accomplished short track racer, knows exactly what he's doing here at Bristol. Won earlier in the season as well at Oswego Speedway, another short track. As we look further back here, this is your fight for P8. That's Gerald Campbell, JP Phillips and Frank Foti there, 8th, 9th and 10th. Frank Foti just conceding position there to the 00 and the 34. Gerald Campbell knows all about the clutch moments. He's a past Cup Series champion. Finds himself in the playoffs in the Truck Series once again, looking for his first title in this series. Joe Francis into the wall there as he finds himself 1 lap behind the leaders. He'll be looking to claw back that disadvantage before long here, as he was up in the top 10 earlier in this race, as was Dusty Doo, who we've just worked past now. Justin Wadsworth, though, interestingly enough, beginning to fade here. I do wonder if that damage is getting the best of him, as we do have another yellow, and he did lose that position to Jeff Ryan just off the back of that yellow. So Justin Wadsworth down now to P5 from pole here. And as I look at the scoring town, I think Tom Ball might have taken the lead from Gavin Higgins while we weren't looking. We were just focused on Frank Foti and Dustin Dewar, and I think they might have potentially been involved in this caution. As Frank Foti, we saw that truck beginning to step out. A couple over corrections, Dusty Dewar nowhere to go. And that's caution number 9 of the race. Frank Foti just drops it on the exit there. Hopefully no one else gets collected. Frank Foti gets that truck pointing in the right direction. Again, the bite-sized sports Chevrolet just going for a little bit of a ride off corner exit. We did see Tom Bourne and Gavin Higgins right nip and tuck next to each other, but Gavin Higgins has retained the lead and will control his first restart of the evening. Joe Francis takes the lucky dog. And a quick rundown of what's been a fairly shuffled up top 10. Gavin Higgins now leads for KOR with regular season champion Tom Bourne in the 61 in second. Jaden Racine still hanging on to third. Jeff Ryan has just passed Justin Wadsworth for fourth. Wadsworth down to fifth. Michael Hossack and Leighton Norgar 6th and 7th. And we just mentioned the fight between the Lake Norman guys, as well as Unacceptable Racing and Aggressive Eagle. Gerald Campbell, JP Phillips, and Caleb Pacuma find themselves 8th, 9th, and 10th. So, already 9 cautions just as we pass the halfway point here. Hopefully we won't see another 9 in the second half of this race, as I'm curious to see the comers and goers under green flag conditions here, but that was a fairly long run. About 15-20 laps there. So we'll see if we can potentially get another one, potentially look at, you know, who can save their tyres the best, who can potentially strategize the best. I don't think we'll come to quite the green flag pit stops, but taking tyres at the right time and the right cautions could be crucial for some of these drivers. So we'll have to wait and see here. But now 1 to green. No one elected to come down pit road this time. No one near the front anyway. Of course, some guys near the back electing to take repairs and whatnot under these caution conditions. But 71 laps to go at the restart. Gavin Higgins will have control of this restart and elects to take the outside lane. Tom Bourne downstairs in second place. That's a race high for the driver, the number 61 Reaper Apparel Ford F-150. We'll see if he can go one better and challenge Gavin Higgins, who has been, as Matthew mentioned, one of the best short track racer consistently over the season, and definitely asserted himself as one of the best tonight. We'll see if he can do anything to dethrone the 20. But so far, Gavin Higgins has looked insurmountable out in front, and with 71 laps to go, he shoots off half a second in front of Tom Bourne. He's filling up the entire picture just by himself, is Gavin Higgins, and he is flying off into the sunset. We'll see if he can keep those tyres under him here, as Tom Bourne in the 61 off to the races as well, has a quarter-second advantage over Jaden Racimus as he fights Jeff Ryan for third there. Both of these drivers looking for their first podiums this season. Michael Hossack just in the back here, picture there, he's in fifth, just about clear of Gerald Campbell, Justin Wadsworth, not with a great restart. He's down to 7th. And we are once again under caution here at Bristol for the 10th time tonight. We've hit double digits, and it's another crash towards the back of the pack. And we'll see who is involved shortly, courtesy of the Robalis photography replay. But once again, we come down to safety car speeds here. Gavin Higgins will pick up Fred, the pace car driver. And already we cut to an incident between Josh Adams and Austin and Abnett that brought out the yellow. We'll have to see just how that developed. They both come out of turn 4. And Austin and Abnett potentially not quite as close to the wall as Josh Adams expects. Just comes down, tags the right rear of the Juicy Spider Toyota Tundra. And that sends Josh Adams into to the outside wall, rather, at quite a rate of knots. And we are back again under caution conditions. So, funnily enough, that's the first incident in terms of cautions that we have seen that's been caused by driver contact. In terms of, no one getting loose or anything like that. So, in that regard, it's been quite a clean race in terms of respect for one another in this race, but the conditions have definitely not been the easiest to drive, and you've seen a lot of slipping and sliding, a lot of trucks stepping out from underneath these guys. And even when you see an incident like you just saw there with Josh and Austin, it's a matter of fine margins. A truck gets loose and you have to chase it down the track or something like that. A track like Bristol, you simply don't have that give, you don't have that space, that forgiveness to make that sort of error. It'll bite you, and that's what we've seen again tonight here. So I think for as much as pace and everything else is important, I think just minimising errors, as Matthew mentioned just at the top of the show, getting into a rhythm, consistency at this track. When you're ticking off a corner every 3 seconds, you're going into a corner or exiting a corner, you have to be absolutely on it, hitting your marks every single time. And I think once you get out of that groove, you're more prone to making a mistake that I think is very easy to make here in such adverse driving conditions. Really doesn't seem to be a lot of grip tonight. So Gavin Higgins will again have control of the restart He will again take the outside lane. Tom Bourne is in second. Jaden Racines and Jeff Ryan third and fourth. We'll see if Justin Wadsworth can climb back through the field as he elected to take a set of tyres, I believe, and finds himself now down 20th in this race. Work to do for driver number 6, but as we come to the green again, Gavin Higgins will have control, and hopefully a few more green flag laps are ahead. Jeff Ryan looks to take second place from Tom Bourne here. They both go up the banking. Higgins looking particularly good on the restarts once again. Jeff Ryan just to the outside there of Tom Bourne. Gerald Campbell looking to potentially have a sniff here. Potentially 3 wide. Good work here at Bristol. Would be risky though. We'll have to wait and see. But Jeff Ryan does a brilliant job. Gets himself up into second place just as we have yet another yellow, Matthew. I think cautions are beginning to breed cautions here.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll see just what caused that yellow flag there for caution number 11, courtesy, of course, of the RoboticsPhoto.com replay. JP Phillips here for Black Magic here. Just gets into the back of Frank Foti. With no damage for Frank, but all the damage for JP. Dylan Javier, Frank's teammate, gets involved. There's Michael Goodman, Andrew Harcos, Waston and Abnett getting wiped out in that as well. Dusty Dewitt just about avoids it. Whoa! It all happens behind him. Josh Adams, Justin Wadsworth, and Cody McCorkle getting into it at the exit of turn 2 there. We'll see if we can catch another angle of that secondary incident, as it was a whole different crash in itself. I don't know if Cody was distracted by what he was seeing up ahead of him, but Cody just comes up the track. Josh tries to avoid it, and that's a big impact. Justin Wadsworth picked the same lane that Josh did, and that's going to be big damage for both those drivers. Josh Adams goes for a ride over the top of Justin Wadsworth, and that is going to be definitely detrimental to those guys' chances of winning. But wow, probably the biggest incident we've seen so far. We saw 2 separate incidents and 2 separate tallies assessed, of course, to the 35 and the 2 for their parts to play in those incidents, but still order is largely the same in the top 10. We see at the back of the top 10, of course, as a result of that incident with JP Phillips. We see the top 10 change somewhat, but Gavin Higgins does still lead the race. Jeff Ryan up to a race high P2 there, only 1 step away from potentially his first elite victory, but Tom Bourne looking to put a stop to that back in 3rd. Gerald Campbell up to 4th. Michael Harsack has remained in 5th. Very stable performance from the Canadian. Jaden Racines still doing well, having not pitted yet. He's in 6th. Caleb Pacuma, Frank Foti making all Lake Norman in row 4, with Dylan Javier and Kyle Hanshaw for KHR in row number 5. We'll come to 58 laps to go. This time by Gavin Higgins will have control. Jeff Ryan downstairs to end caution number 11. Hopefully, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed this time that we don't have any more cautions, at least not too many. I'm curious to see if there are any guys here who can do the marathon, not the sprint, but so far it's been the sprinters that have been rewarded, and it's Gavin Higgins that's off to the races here. Clears Jeff Ryan going into turn 1. Can Jeff Ryan clear Gerald Campbell? No, he can't, but Gerald Campbell does get in the wall, and the 3 does get clear. Gerald Campbell just with a small error there. Hopefully no damage to the 00. We'll have to catch a look. I don't think he does, as he will still run in P3, still chucking that truck in deep there on the high side, looking to get the momentum to start making a move potentially on Jeff Ryan in 2nd place there, but Gavin Higgins looking stable, looking stout in the lead of this motor race as he works just over 50 to go here. We're nearly coming to the end of lap number 100 here, and just as we say that, another yellow is out for the 12th time tonight. And we will have a look to see what caused that accident. And we go to potentially the 34 JP Phillips here. He does. Oh, he just loses it. You see that little tank slapper, and it collects the air. Chris Wright, not too bad to be fair. I think he's only going to lose one spot for his troubles, but hard impact into the inside wall there for JP Phillips. And we'll have to wait, of course, for race control's ruling as if that's the second tally for JP. Then his night is also done, and we'll have 2 parked trucks here, and that won't be good for JP's title hopes if he finds himself parked. And it is the second tally for the 34 of JP Phillips. So along with Sam Batwell, he's been put on the naughty step here. And a second tally for car number 34 here. As we work just under a century of laps here. Gavin Higgins still leads the way. You see just at the bottom of the top 10 there. Chris Wright, Jeff Ryan, Leighton Norgard have all worked their way back into the top 10 here. Carl Hantrop to 7th. Jaden Racine's up to 4th. As Gerald Campbell has come down pit road. In fact, everyone has apart from the top 9 here. So far it's Caleb Bakuma that leads the charge down the pit lane. So, I have to wait and see here, but I'm interested by the call to pit. We saw some of the Lake Norman trucks come in here, Matthew, as well as some others. I'm intrigued to see what you think about the call here. 50 to go here. You know, we could potentially see still maybe 1 or 2 long green runs here, but if you're someone like Gerald Campbell or Justin Wadsworth or someone like that, are you coming down pit road at this time as well?
Knowing how this race has gone so far, no, I'll be staying out trying to keep track position.
Yeah, it looks to be that way. 12 cautions, 99 laps. You're talking, what, a caution every 8 laps or so? So,
yep.
I would say, nah, I would agree with the likes of Gavin Higgins, Jeff Ryan. I'm telling my pit crew go home, honestly. Unless we get another, like, 40 lap run here, I'm telling my pit crew go home.
I wouldn't even go that long. If it's like a 25 lap run of us just going hard and then the caution comes out, yeah, I'll go down and put 4 tires on. But other than that, I'm staying out.
Yeah, I would agree. So, pace car will pull in here. 51 laps to go. So we're going to come to the beginning of lap 100 this time. And it's a good restart for Gavin Higgins. It's Jaden Macimas and the MSI Chevrolet that's going to get to the outside of Jeff Ryan. We'll see if the 3 can clear the 1 here. Out of turn 2. Almost, and he does eventually get clear. Jaden Macimas just tags the outside wall there. And we are now 50 to go. 2/3 of this race down and done here. As the 3 of Jeff Ryan with that Dale Earnhardt stat number there might be looking, just smelling the blood potentially. We're on the back of that Gavin Higgins machine. We'll see if Jeff Ryan can get his first ever Elite Series win. He's made a steady rise up the field as Tom Bourne drops it through 3 and 4, saves it, but only with the outside wall. That's going to be big damage. That won't have been what just caused the caution there for the 13th time. Tom Bourne, though, with a big tank slapper on, does get most of those positions back, thankfully, with when the caution came out. Still drops, I think, down to 6th or 5th. And we'll see just what caused the yellow there, because I don't think that would have been what caused the yellow. He did a brilliant job not having that thing go around, but of course had to use the outside wall to stop his truck from going for a loop-de-doo, which is not ideal for the number 61, and I think potentially some damage, although I don't see any at a glance at the Tom Bourne machine, but still Gavin Higgins does lead. See Rob Mooney just taking his lucky dog, and Tom Bourne is going to come down pit road. Along, see Tommy Ryan's at the back of your picture as well. He's going to come down pit road. Frank Fote as well. I see at the back there. That's Andrew Hardcastle as well. These guys are going to come down for a presumably a 4 tires and fuel pit stop here, with 40 odd laps to still run here. Could potentially give them some fresher tyres towards the end of the race here as we work caution number 13 behind Fred the pace car driver, who I think is definitely in contention for having led the most laps tonight, as it will be 44 laps to go, I believe, at the end of this caution period. Gavin Higgins still leads. Jeff Ryan in second. Jaden Racines in third. Carl Hanshaw up to a race high there of P4. So a jumbled up grid, I would say, to what we would usually expect here in this series. You'd see, I suppose, a smattering of different guys, the likes of Gerald Campbell, who, do be fair, still finds himself in fifth. Justin Wadsworth, you know, he's back in 11th after some mid-race troubles there. Did win stage 1, but finds himself back in P11 outside the top 10. And Gavin Higgins goes back upstairs, wants that outside lane. Jeff Ryan going to have to go low there, as Jaden Racines will be in third. KHR's Carl Hanshaw, the driver-owned team, will find himself in position number 4, looking potentially for a first podium of the season. Gerald Campbell and Chris Wright, though, 2 seasoned vets of the league, looking to make their way into that top form, potentially onto the top step of that podium to lock themselves in to the final 4. But we'll see if anyone in the non-playoff drivers can play spoiler. They currently sit 2nd, 3rd and 4th, but it's Gavin Higgins who looks 44 laps away from finding his way into the championship for the Truck Series for the first ever time. And we're back green here at Bristol. It's half a second to Carl Hanshaw, who's gone from 4th to 2nd in one foul swoop here. And it's a brilliant restart from the Harpoon Design Chevrolet, as it's a fight for 3rd between the 3 and the 8. Chris Wright upstairs now, potentially with some better tyres than the number 3, as he works the outside of Jeff Ryan. He's half a truck left clear in that blue egg Chevrolet. He's now going to work the outside. He's going to get to the outside as well, Carl Hanshaw here. But a second now is the difference to make up here, Matthew. Chris Wright might have good pace here, might have good tyres, but is 1 second just too big of a gap up to Gavin Higgins.
Maybe for him, but if you remember right, Gerald pitted under that last caution, and he's already up to the top 5. That's the truck I'll be looking out for.
Not a bad shout at all, though he does find himself boxed in there behind the one of Jaden Racines, someone he's going to be looking to dispatch of with some urgency here. Still working the high side here, slightly more abrasive on the tyres. The gap at the lead, stabilising 1.1 seconds. Music to the ears of Gavin Higgins, and for as long as Gerald Campbell remains stymied by the trucks in front, he will make no progress towards that number 20 truck. Gavin Higgins just needs now no mistakes. Rhythm, apexes and exits for car number 20, as we focus in on this fight between the 1 and the 00 for the last spot on the podium. 3rd and 4th, Carl Hanshaw waiting in the wings for anything to go wrong between this pair, as you see a train begin to form all the way back to P12 here with Justin Wadsworth here. Racines running the middle. Campbell way downstairs on the yellow line, trying to get any impetus that he can to make the move to try and get himself on to the podium, as the gap begins to expand between this train and Gavin Higgins. And the gap now, as Jaden Racines has dropped on the yellow. Oh, it's a crash between the lappers. Rob Mooney and Dustin Dewar up towards the outside wall. Jaden Racines with the save of the century. Just as the caution came out, he dropped it, but the back bumper covers come off that number 1 truck, as I think there was a crash further ahead between 2 back markers, Dusty Dewar and Rob Mooney, as they were a lap down. Dusty Dewar just, I think, getting loose in front of the 84 is what it looked like just in the aftermath there. But Jaden Racines now drops it. Gerald Campbell trying to avoid, but Gerald Campbell does get a piece of it. You see front rack damage. Caleb Pacuma with the front left wheel arch coming off, and then magically gifted back to him, so no real damage. Nothing too significant I don't see on the number 59. But we're going to now analyse this incident that happened right in front of Gavin Higgins. This would have given him a scare, as he works past the number 32 and the number 84. Rob Mooney just square into the back of him. So my initial analysis was wrong. Of course, I only saw the back half of the incident, but it was Rob Mooney into the back of Dusty Dewar, and Jaden Racines just drops on his own again. I don't know if it's similar to the McCorkle incident as well that we saw earlier. Just distracted by seeing the crash up ahead and drops it on his own, but not ideal. You see a big mighty scratch up the left hand side of that number 1 MSI truck. No doubt feeding the crash as well from Gerald Campbell, going right on board. Oh, he just drops it. And he's going to crank it right. crunched from both sides, and that won't be good. And I think Jaden might just be forced down pit road, but we'll see if he's gutsy enough to stay out. Gerald Campbell is not going to stay out, as he is going to pit for some repairs. So is Jaden. I don't see him. Yeah, he's just come down. He exits P14 there, so a lot of hard work undone there, unfortunately, for young Jaden Racimus. But still, Gavin Higgins, another electric young driver that we've seen fly through the series. You know, impressed in his first couple of seasons, obviously made the Final Four in the Dev Series and is now looking at a ticket to the Final Four in the Truck Series for the very, very first time. We are now working Monte Green, but I tell you, Caleb Pacuma, who does have a bit of front end damage, but he's still mighty, mighty quick. Michael Hossack, Tom Bourne, Tommy Ryan, Leighton Norgard, these are all guys that could play spoiler here and spoil Higgins' party. It was probably one of his best shots at taking victory here in this round to lock himself into the championship four nice and early before we'll have a big date with the Lone Star State here. Texas Legacy was the championship race in a few weeks' time, but Gavin Higgins steps on the loud pedal with 31 laps to go, and he assumes the lead, assumes a half-second lead over Tom Bourne and Caleb Pacuma. Michael Hossack hot on the heels of both these drivers. Tom Bourne goes upstairs, clears the 59, who does have a bit of front-end damage, no doubt harming the performance of that Chevrolet. Second and third now belongs to Tom Bourne and Michael Hossack. Michael Hossack looking for another podium in this series. He's done it before. We'll see if he can do it again. Gavin Higgins got really tense in front, and another yellow flag. 15 now is the count tonight for cautions, as Gavin Higgins will slow down to pace car speed, as will the rest of the field. Will consult the Robalis instant replay. And could it be a second incident in a row for Jaden Racimus? He finds himself pinched a bit, kind of offset 3 wide, back to 2 wide here. And I think the damage, yeah, the damage just not working with Jaden. Andrew Hardcastle does a brilliant job of avoiding the car. It does scrape the outside wall, but I actually think it'll be okay. And Jaden Racimus finds himself facing the wrong way, and that's the cause of caution number 15. Just as we work this caution period, we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to thank some of our sponsors, some of our partners that sponsor the action-packed racing that you find here on the Elite Racing Network, like you do tonight with the GoldenBrew 150 here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We'll be back with more carnage and action here from round 12 of the 2025 JUICYSPYDER Truck Series. We'll be back on the Elite Racing Network soon. Don't go anywhere.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back onto green here for the GoldenBrew 150 here at Bristol Motor Speedway, round 12 of the 2025 JUICYSPYDER Truck Series. Thanks very much, of course, to iRacing.com, to Blue Egg Marketing, and to World Ride Technology Raceway for being our premier partners in the Elite Racing League and the Elite Racing Network. And of course, race sponsor GoldenBrew. Join us as we explore and discover the ultimate GoldenBrew experience tailored just for you. GoldenBrew Coffee Company, your favourite coffee company. And as we come back to green here, 25 to go here, and Gavin Higgins finds himself just 0.3 of a second clear of Tom Bourne here. Leighton Norgard and Michael Hossack duke it out for positions 3 and 4 as these guys trying to lock themselves in to the final 4 now, and we're into the final section of this race here. It is do or die for these drivers, and so far it is Gavin Higgins that is executing up at the front. Took the lead, never looked back, but he's going to be looking back for a little while longer as the race is neutralised yet again. The pack will reform yet again for caution number 16 here. And we focus here on the 0-0 of Gerald Campbell. Was he involved? As he was, and he drops it again. So even the most experienced of drivers not immune from mistakes here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Chris Wright and Austin Abnett both get into it. Oh, Michael Goodman with big contact to the back of Gerald Campbell. Joe Francis collected lightly as well. Just in avoidance, tries to get around the spinning 0-0, but to no avail. Another caution here. We'll look to the inside here of Chris Wright's machine, and immediately nothing Chris Wright can do here apart from pray. And to be fair, considering where Chris Wright was when Gerald started spinning, I think his prayers were mostly answered, because I think 99 times out of 100 that ends in tears for the number 8 truck. So for him to still be running with minimal damage, I think he can start counting his lucky stars on that one, as truck number 8 still runs in position number 8 here. Your top 10 now has taken a vastly different shape to when we last ran it down, so let's have a look. Gavin Higgins though still leads. He's been a constant threat all night long. He's taken the lead. He has not since relinquished it. Tom Bourne is in second place. Michael Hossack in third. Leighton Norgard, as we've mentioned, looking for a second appearance in the final 4. We'll see if he can muster up the pace and the speed to make it happen tonight. Tommy Ryan is in 5th, looking for a second win on the season. Seth Rules, what in the GoldenBrew Coffee Company colours. He's in P6 for Shift Esports. Jeff Ryan for Unacceptable Racing. He's back in P7. We mentioned P8, Truck 8. That's Chris Wright, just about involved in that last caution incident, looking for another appearance in the championship race. Behind him, his teammate Austin and Abnett in position number 9, and Carl Hanshaw looking for a solid top 10 here for KHR. And he will line up on the outside of row number 5, as we've just taken the 1 to green. And surprise, surprise, the leader takes the outside here. It's been the dominant line all night long, especially for the restart serum. We're going to come to 19 laps to go. This will be advantage Gavin Higgins here on the restart here, as he will likely be able to clear Tom Bourne, unless Tom Bourne or Leighton Norgard or Michael Hossack have something to say about it, as the leader does control the restart once we get into that blue marked restart zone area with the Geico market and logos. Higgins steps on the now pedal. Tom Bourne with some very good reactions manages to just about stay to the back bumper of Gavin Higgins, though Higgins is clear, and with a wider arc through the corner is going to gain another few hundredths on the 61, but the 61 now begins to claw the deficit back on corner entry, running the middle of the track. He's going to get a monster exit here. He's down to less than a tenth of a second. Drives it in deep. He's working the outside. Could Gavin Higgins see his first challenger all night long? Tom Bourne to the inside. This is a fight for the lead now, as Tom Bourne to the inside of Gavin Higgins. Higgins is going to work upstairs here, trying to get clear of the 61. He's going to drive it in deep. Back downstairs here, Michael Hossack looking to enter the scrap as well. Higgins though, now clear. Hossack upstairs. Fight for P2 now. Music to the ears of the number 20 truckers. He'll begin to try and drive away here. Hossack to the outside of Tom Bourne here. Tom Bourne might have to try and pull a slider here to try and get in between these two trucks, but with the lack of space I'm seeing between the 20 and the 24, nothing might be given here for the 61. Might have to concede that second place. Have to wait and see, as he's not giving up easy with 15 to go, Matthew.
No, he's driving it hard down there and making it stick. He was able to get in front of him right there. Now he's just got to work over Gavin, and we got a lap truck with this dirty air might come into play on the bottom since the lap truck down there. So it might. Oh, that was close.
Sketchy business there, but Joni Racine is tucking nicely out the way of Gavin Higgins and company, as they all work the high side now, trying to get as much as they can in terms of performance out of these trucks here in the later stages of this race here. 12 laps to go when they get to the line here. 20, 61, 24. Those are your trucks. They're in contention for victory right now, and it's Tom Bourne that is all over the back of Gavin Higgins. You remember back to the development series race here at Bristol. Last season contact! Crash between the leaders. Tommy Ryan's collected. That's a massive accident.
Oh no!
And it all boils over at the last here. It's all come to blows at the front of the field here. And that is massive playoff implications here. That is huge for the playoffs. It's a massive accident up at the front here. Tom Bourne and Gavin Higgins have hit each other as they both get into each other and they just don't get off. We'll look from a chase cam perspective here from the 61. You see Higgins.
I think it all started right there. Yep, it all started right there.
Hills momentum. It means they end up side by side. Tom Bourne just tags the left rear. Higgins maybe not being as close to the wall as he anticipated. He just can't get disconnected. And Higgins just eventually gets turned at the worst time. And that's a huge impact in the inside wall. And again, he's going to have an additional impact here with Tommy Ryan. Leighton Norgard absolutely helpless here as well. And the entire field is going to get collected. Chris Wright, Tom Bourne gets a secondary impact. Seth Rawls with another massive hit to Gavin Higgins there. See everyone filter to the inside trying to dodge it. But that is a massive, massive accident with massive, massive implications, Matthew. You see an incident from the perspective of Seth Rawls, there's nothing he could do. And that is a massive, massive impact for the GoldenBrew truck there. And to be a fly on the wall in Gavin's room right now, because that boy must be absolutely steaming, as well as Tom Bourne. So, yeah. Unreal turn of events here at Bristol. The fastest truck all night long wiped out in the blink of an eye, and that has turned the playoff picture, turned the complexion of this race completely on its head. Michael Hossack now leads with 8 to go. He is in the perfect position to get his first race win in the Truck Series. Chris Wright in second, looking for his third Final Four appearance. We'll see if he can get past that 24 and into the Final Four. Justin Wadsworth is in third. Tom Bourne is in fourth, still in this race. Jeff Ryan and Austin and Abnett, 5th and 6th. Dylan Havere, Tommy Ryan, Frank Foti, Kyle Hanshaw. That's your top 10. We have 7 laps to go. It's all to play for, with 2 massive contenders taken out right at the death. It is now anyone's game. Michael Hossack steps on it. Tom Bourne, Chris Wright, side by side for P2. Michael Hossack, though, managed to get 3 tenths, and Chris Wright does get clear of truck number 61. See if Justin Wadsworth can make anything happen here. Back from 4th. He took the pole, took the stage win, but faltered in the mid-race. We'll see if he can capitalise on this late drama to get himself into the Final Four. And there's more drama as the caution comes out and Chris Wright drops down to caution. Tom Bourne's involved. 2 more teammates involved, as Lake Norman's Austin and Abnett and Dylan Havere. Andrew Hardcastle's in the inside wall. Caleb Bakuma's involved. More drama, more carnage as it continues to unravel here at the Last Great Coliseum. As there was an incident between Tommy Ryan and Gerald Campbell and Josh Adams that caused the caution, as that was some freaky netcode, but I think that was ending in tears anyway. And just in front of them, we've seen it now multiple times. Chris Wright drops it going into the corner, hits the brakes, and Tom Bourne nowhere to go. Square into the back of Chris Wright, and that collects absolutely everyone. Matthew,
sorry about the long wait. I've been
it's going mental. As we see Chris Wright. Yeah, Tom Bourne nowhere to go. Jeff Ryan drops it, I think, in avoidance there. Frank Foti almost drops it. I think he's just about saved it. Yes, I think he's third now. Austin and Abnett with a big hit. Dylan Havere sandwiched. Caleb Bakuma involved. Carl Hanshaw coming to a complete stop. Andrew Hardcastle avoids Hanshaw, but in doing so drops it as well. He'll give a little kiss to the inside wall. Mathieu, it's all going a bit wrong in these last few laps here, as I think we're going to have a green-white checkered as well. 18 cautions, and these last couple have been a bit mental.
Yeah, I think that last one, a couple of these last wrecks have been damaged guys with damaged trucks, where it just changes the handling so much. Like, it's crazy how loose these trucks get with just a little bit of damage, and we're seeing that here. People are driving in these corners harder than they were earlier in the race, and they're getting looser because of the damage they got.
Definitely looks to be that way, but we mentioned Justin Wadsworth. He's made a big comeback through the field. Of course, he's been on the right side of the chaos here, right side of the attrition. He faltered in the mid-race, started to go down the pack a bit. Definitely, I don't think that right rear damage that he picked up wasn't helping. But he's back up to second now. Only has Michael Hossack in his way between himself and a spot in the final four. But I see Jeff Ryan, I see Frank Furty, I see Dylan Havitt, all as contenders here. Chris Wright was involved in that incident, but is still in the running here in 6th. So I think definitely we have a lot of different contenders here that could make things happen, but it's Michael Hossack that has control of the restart. As we come into the restart zone now, Fred, the pace car driver, does pull off. 3 laps to go will be 2. If we have a caution in this first lap, we'll do it all again. We'll re-wrap 2 to go. And there's no cautions when we get to the white flag, making this race official. What can Michael Hossack do? Is he leads by just under half a second from Justin Wadsworth, who finds pressure from his teammate Frank Furty behind him. Hossack with 1 lap to go between himself and a first win this season. He's got 3 tenths to do it. Can Wadsworth close the gap in time? Just half a lap to go for Michael Hossack into 3 and 4. Wadsworth sends it in deep, but can't quite get there. Michael Hossack's going to win at Bristol. And it's Justin Wadsworth that fights back valiantly to a P2. Frank Furty completes the podium. Carl Hanshaw in a brilliant P4. Dylan Havitt to 5th. Adams to 6th. Francis Pacuma, Wright and Ryan round out the top 10. And that is a brilliant, chaotic, classic night in Bristol. Everyone runs to congratulate the 24 for his first win this season. He's been an elite for a long time, and very rarely does he find a winner's circle. He's always in the running, but it can never quite happen. He got the right side of the luck, but it's not all just like it's execution, and he had the pace to hang on once he got the lead. He never looked back. It was a brilliant drive, a capitalizing drive, and it ends in victory for Michael Hossack. Covered Bridge Racing's first win in a long time here, and it comes at the last great Coliseum. Catch your breath now. 150 laps later, 18 cautions later, many dramatic moments later, it all comes to a head at the last great Coliseum, and Michael Hossack is now your winner for the first time this season. I don't believe he's in the playoffs. He didn't have a banner on, so I think that's a playoff spoiler. What that means is that only 3, a maximum that is, of 3 of the final 4 places can be decided on wins, meaning at least 1 will be decided at a points showdown in Homestead, Miami, for the final race of the round of 14. We're going to quickly go for one more ad break before we start post-race coverage of the GoldenBrew 150 at Bristol Motor Speedway. We're going to thank one more time our sponsors and our partners at the Elite Racing Network. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back very soon.
3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge-of-your-seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
And we are back here on the Elite Racing Network for post-race coverage of the GoldenBrew 150. Before we rattle off the results, we've got some people to speak to. And first of the bunch that we're going to speak to, Frank Foti, third place finish for you, sir. First podium, I believe, of the season, at least first time that I've seen. And relatively quiet night. 14 incident points isn't a lot compared to some of the guys I'm seeing on the entry list. So I would say you've done well to keep that 41 truck relatively clean, but how do you analyze your night overall, Frank?
Yeah, it wasn't easy, let me tell you. I really just came into this like a speedway race, just trying to survive and be there at the end. And I was real fortunate on a lot of those cautions, and just kept plugging away, and got in position there at the end. Really, that's all you can ask for. Man, I'm here in third, so I'm still kind of stunned that I got this far. But I'll take it, man. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, definitely didn't look easy. I mean, I look at the conditions you guys were driving, and I think a good 13, 14 of the 18 cautions we saw were just guys dropping it sort of entry to the middle of the corner. And
Yeah.
the grip really looks sort of at a premium there, not really. It almost seemed disconnected from the track, like you guys were driving on ice. Just how was it out there to drive, basically?
You really had to watch the right rear, especially going into the corner, especially if you went in low. That's where a lot of guys looked like they were losing it. But yeah, just had to be mindful of your corner entry, and especially when the right rear was getting a little worn. It was really easy to overstep it, but that was the key for me, was just to keep the truck underneath me the whole time, try to save when I could, jump up on the high line to protect or pass. And here I am talking to you guys. I'm pretty stoked.
Absolutely. Obviously, we talked about, make sure not to overstep, taking care of your right rear. Do you think that was the most important part of getting yourself into third, or do you think there was more to it than just that?
little more to it than that. I mean, that played a lot into it. But man, you just had to miss the wrecks and try to avoid. I think I had maybe like 25 seconds of damage one time. But yeah, just got to try to keep it in one piece and try to keep the tires on it.
Absolutely. Well, a brilliant result for truck number 41. First podium of the season. Anyone you want to thank for getting the podium for Lake Norman here?
Yeah, I'd like to thank JD Designs for painting up all our trucks and cars. It does an awesome job. Got to thank the whole team. I mean, we were all running really well there for most of the race. And congrats to Justin, getting second place. And thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. You guys do a great job all the time. It's fun watching them back. I'll be watching this one back for sure.
Definitely see yourself get another podium here. So we'll pop you back in the waiting room. Thank you very much for your time and congrats on the P3, Frank.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
So that was number 41, Frank Foti. Now, gonna have a quick chat with reigning Cup champ Justin Wadsworth here, P2. I'm sure that's one less position though than you would want when you get the pole, get that first stage win, but wasn't to be in the end. But how do you rate a P2 overall, Justin, in your performance overall?
It's all right. P2 is always good, especially after a caution-filled race like that. Was able to qualify in the pole, kind of control the race. Was sort of trying to manage the tires, and right after the stage break, that caution came out, and Tom actually got in my rear and loosened up the truck a ton. So then I was dropping a few spots and ended up repairing it, and getting a couple wrecks coming through the field. So all in all, to come home second, I should be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, we looked at how you were kind of sort of beginning to drop through the field sort of mid-race there. I think we saw you as low as sort of 10th or 11th, and I think we did mainly attribute it to that right rear damage that we did see. Was that really, when you consider the conditions you guys were driving in tonight, we spoke to Frank about how loose it was, watching that right rear, was that damage just sort of kind of exacerbating it and just making it worse and, begin to sort of free fall, I suppose, down the order?
Yeah. I mean, we came into the pits right after the stage, and after I got that damage, and I saw I had the 25 seconds, but I really didn't think it'd be that big of a deal at a short track. But then when we took the green, I could not keep the rear under me, and like you said, I was just dropping a few spots here and there, and it was like I knew I couldn't keep up, so I needed to just pit and kind of get the damage taken care of, and then see if I could work my way back through the field, and managed to get up to second. So happy with that. Wish I didn't get the damage, but sometimes that's just how it goes with these short tracks, right?
Yeah, definitely. And P2, for as much as it's not technically locked in yet, but it's still a good point today. Of course, you'll find yourself right up in the contention now to get into that final four. Looking towards the next two rounds, you've got Iowa and you've got Homestead, Miami. You've done well through Michigan and through Bristol, of course. So we're looking to cap it off at those two tracks, potentially get a win to lock yourself in. How do you rate your chances at those two circuits?
I feel like they could be pretty good. I like both of them. Iowa and Homestead are both really fun tracks. And looking at the points, I should be okay. And honestly, it's actually, if anybody was going to win, Hasek not being a playoff guy winning the race kind of works out. So yeah. I mean, I like both those tracks. So if we can get a win, if not, get a couple more top fives, and then see what we can do in the championship.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck in those two races. Congratulations on the P2. Anyone you want to thank as well for another podium in the Truck Series, Justin?
Yeah, shout out to the crew chief, Craig Wads, my dad, always watching. My mom as well, she's been watching me too. She just had back surgery, so she had a lot of time on her hands to keep up with the Elite Series, which has been really cool. Shout out to my girlfriend, Jill. She's the one that lets me do this so many times a week, so I really appreciate that. And then shout out to you guys in the booth, Chad, everybody that puts on the league. I know it's a lot of work, but you guys do an outstanding job, so I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate the kind words. Congratulations on that, Peter. Hopefully we'll see you in the final four. We'll catch you later, Justin. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys.
So that was Justin Wadsworth. Unfortunately, Michael Hossack absent from the media pen. So we'll get some words from the winner, but I'm sure he's absolutely elated to play spoiler a bit, I suppose, as a non-playoff driver taking the checkered here at Bristol. But 18 cautions and 150 laps later, we can finally take a breath. It's only 3 in the morning here in the UK. Mathieu Weeks, your final thoughts here from what was a rather chaotic affair here at Bristol.
Wish we didn't have so many wrecks. Was able to get some racing in, but some playoff guys took some hits tonight. Some of those guys are thanking God, like, oh yes, thank the Lord, Michael won. So that takes a guy, you know, that could lock himself in tonight away. So that's good. Now it's just about trying to be consistent these next two races and trying to win, knowing that someone's going to get in on points. So you want to gain as many points as you can these next two races.
Absolutely becomes a points game now. We'll take a quick rundown of your race results. Michael Hossack takes the win with just 0.236 seconds over Justin Wadsworth. Frank Foti completes a double podium for Lake Norman Motorsports. Carl Hanshaw for Carl Hanshaw Racing takes fourth. Dylan Havira as well for Lake Norman makes it a triple top 5 for the Lake Norman team. Josh Adams of Juicy Spider is in 6th. Joe Francis fights back from being a lap down. He finishes in 7th. Caleb Bakuma in 8th. Chris Wright in 9th. And Jeff Ryan rounds out the top 10. Andrew Hardcastle battling to a P11 finish. Gavin Higgins, it all came to blows between himself and Tom Bourne. He fights back to P12. Tommy Ryan 13th. Tom Bourne, as we mentioned, 14th. Cody McCorkle rounds out the top 15. Seth Rawls and Jaden Racimus 16th and 17th. Jaden Racimus 1 lap down. The rest of the drivers unfortunately failing to see the checker flag. Austin and Abnett 5 laps down. Gerald Campbell 7 laps down. Leighton Norgard, Michael Goodman, Rob Mooney, Dustin Dua and JP Phillips, Sam Boutwell and Dave Carpenter, as well as Neil Rutt and Jeff Green. Vincent Isabella did not take the starting flag, courtesy of being a Truck Series champion from the past. So 28 trucks started and only 17 of them finished. Just shows the attrition and the chaos that we saw before these drivers tonight. But Michael Hossack, playing spoiler, a non-playoff driver, wins here at the last great Coliseum here at Bristol Motor Speedway, which means at least one driver will lock their way into the final 4 on points, which is going to make that last race in Miami all the more spectacular. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye. That's all we have time for here on the Elite Racing Network. From myself, William White from Race Control, Mathieu Weeks, and producer Nick Massey, as well as everyone on the Elite Racing Network, working to bring you amazing racing all week long through 5 different series. From the Elite Racing League admin panel, from the off tracks to all the drivers, from everyone at ERN, all our premier sponsors and partners, as well as GoldenBrew for sponsoring tonight's race. Thank you very, very much for watching. Have a very safe evening. Thank you very much and good night.